Hi everyone, it's Nate and welcome back to Elevate with Nate, the place where we're all about learning, self-improvement and motivation, and where I discuss many different topics, often being new things that I've learned in the last 24 hours. And I encourage you all to in the comments share with me and with everyone else what you've learned in the last 24 hours. For those of you who are returning viewers, you may have noticed that I am in a different location today. That's because I am currently actually in Spain on holiday, but I thought there's always still time in the day to do a quick recording. And it's also boiling in here because I had to close the window for the noise and also turn off the aircon, so it's going to get hot. Anyway, let's begin. So, in my previous episode, I discussed my fitness journey and what I've learned in the last 15 years of working out, things to avoid, things to do, etc. And here somewhere, you should see a link to that video if you haven't watched it already. But in today's video, I'm going to be discussing my exact workout routine, including the exercises, the amount of sets, and also reps. And in particular, just for timing reasons, today I'm going to be discussing just my first day of the week, which will be chest and shoulders in particular, but I'll get into that more in detail in a second. And I'll release separate videos for the other days of my workout routine. But before I discuss the ins and outs of my workouts, I want to mention a few things. And the first one is that these routines are aimed at almost everyone. So that can be whether you're beginner, whether you're intermediate, advanced, etc. Any ages. This is for people who simply want to get in better shape, build some more muscle, get leaner, with those goals in mind. The people who perhaps this would be less aimed at would be if you have a particular, let's say, goal set, such as you want to be practicing for strongman lifting or weightlifting, like kind of competitive, because that lifting requires a certain particular routine, such as going extra heavy or doing certain particular exercises. But for the average person who wants to simply get fitter and get in better shape, this is for you. And also, I just want to dispel a very common myth which I often have heard throughout my entire life, which is aimed at mostly women, but I'm guessing also men too. But the amount of times when I've been younger and I've heard friends of mine who are girls and have said, I want to get in better shape and look like these Instagram models, let's say. And they then go, so therefore I'm going to go and jump on the treadmill and just run every single day. Even though they were aiming for that, let's say, big booty or whatever their goals were. And just to make it very, very clear here, there shouldn't really be any difference between the way that the man or woman works out. Everyone should work out in the exact same way. Muscle is built the same way. If you're just doing cardio and running, you're not going to be building much muscle. That literally is just you kind of burning more calories and therefore losing more weight. But that won't make you more curvy if that's your goal. So just bear that in mind before I go on to the rest of this video. All right, so before I break down the exact routines for each day, I'll mention a quick overview of what the week will look like for my routine. And there will be 5 days or 5 different workouts that I have in my plan. Now, even though I might personally, on a good week, do all those 5 in that 1 week, in those 7 days, so I'll take 2 off whenever I want, you don't have to be strict with that. If for a reason you can only go to the gym 4 times in that week, that is completely fine. Just do your 5th workout on the first day of the 2nd week, and then go back to to the first one, keep going. It's fine. You don't have to always be strict and hit those 5 in a row, okay? Just bear that in mind. And then about the actual routine that I have, it is kind of conventional in some regards, in the sense of, as I mentioned in my previous video, I break it down by different body parts. So in the past, I've tried doing back and biceps, and then chest and triceps, and then shoulders, legs, etc. And you'll see in a second that it's similar for me currently, but there are a few quick changes, and it's the following. Firstly, very important point here. When you're working out, you should not simply just copy and paste, okay? a routine online. Now, you might hear that and go, okay, but surely you're right now going to be telling myself, you guys, a routine to copy. And yes and no. What I'm saying here is, take a general template, okay? But what's really important is, everyone has different strengths and weaknesses with their physiques. Or at least you might have certain goals which you want to hit. You might think, I want really, really big shoulders. So if you take a normal routine online, which has each body part equally spaced out, well, for you that might work. Let's say for me personally, I found that my back, for example, would just get really big really quickly, whereas my legs or potentially my shoulders, not so quick. So in my routines, guess what? I do fewer back exercises and more legs and shoulders because I know that's my weak point. That's what I'm saying. Feel free to adjust the workouts, including my one, to what works best for you, but just keep the main structure. And then second and last point on the whole workout routines is the following. If you watch other videos, they often say the following. They say, you should, for optimal muscle growth, hit each body part at least twice a week, if not maybe more. But if you do the maths here, and you go, right, I'm doing a 4 or 5 day split, okay, so that's the amount of train days per week, and you're doing, so each day has a separate body part, okay, chest and back, etc. What you soon work out is, let's say chest, for example, you would have hit that essentially once every 7 days. That's not for 2-3 times a week, is it? So what I found is the following, and you'll see it in my routines. I have my general days, but then in each particular day, I'll also add in routines or exercises which focus on my weakest body parts, but also I might put in 1 or 2 exercises from different body parts from other days. So for example, you're going to have your chest day, okay? But then on my 3rd day, let's say that was arms, I'll also have just 1 or 2 chest exercises. Not the whole thing, not 10 sets, just 1 or 2, but just enough to have some stimulation in the muscle to keep that pump and that growth happening. So that's the big intro there, but I hope you now understand the general philosophy for my workout routines and how I go about things. So here, in a nutshell, is my 5-day workout routines. The first day, which I'm discussing in today's episode, is going to be chest and shoulders. My second day is going to be back, traps, and some forearms. My 3rd day is just arms in general, so biceps, triceps. My 4th day is just legs. And then my 5th day is what I call squats, abs, and some cardio. Now, you might have seen there, isn't squats legs. It is, I'll mention this in particular on that episode, but essentially I find that when I personally do lots of big squats at the start of my day, I find that I'm so knackered, I find it hard to complete the rest of the workout properly. So I basically do all my machine and dumbbell work on my leg day, and on the next day hit my squats. But that's just me, and I'll go into that later in a different episode. And of course, as I mentioned, in each of those 5 different days, I will still chuck in different bits and bobs from other days into those workouts. So keep listening and you'll hear exactly what I do. So, chest and shoulders, this is what I do. My first exercise is going to be incline dumbbell press. And somewhere here I'll have some videos because it's quite hard for me to right now try and show you what I'm doing. But that's we take 2 dumbbells and you're going to push up. And I mentioned this incline first because the hardest bit of the chest to grow is the upper chest, the upper shelf, as they say. That's much harder than hitting your central and lower chest, because those are the 3 main bits of the chest. So we start with the incline. And there's a little tip here. When you're doing this, too many people arch their back too much. You probably can't see here. And by the way, I will be doing this in an actual gym at some point for my channel. But just for now, I'm just discussing it verbally. Too many people when on an incline, they try and bend their back loads, okay? They go really heavy, they bend their back. What happens here is, the more you bend your back, at this point, the angle between the dumbbells and your chest, that's just a flat bench now. That's like me doing a flat dumbbell press. So what's the point? keep your stomach and your back not, keep kind of more straightish. So now when I press upwards, I'm hitting that at a different angle to straight out. That's the incline dumbbell press. So that's what you want. Don't cheat. There's no point in the gym trying to kind of lift heavier by cheating and then you're hitting a different body part. Don't. Anyway, we're doing that. But here's the big next important thing with my ethos of lifting, which again I mentioned in a different video, so again I'll put here. But essentially, I only do 2 sets because in my opinion, I go, if you do the conventional 3 or 4 sets, I think if you've gone properly hard in your first set, well, I'm knackered now. What's the point doing 2, 3, 4? The second you're so far away from finishing, you find it hard to be motivated for it and you're knackered. Just do 2, okay? And to get enough volume into the muscle, I simply do lots of different exercises. So in total, I've still done many sets, okay? But it's at different angles. And that's the important thing. There's no point to say you go into that and saying, I'm going to do 10 sets of just flat barbell bench press. Well, that's brilliant. You've got to train your central chest loads, but you haven't done much for your upper or lower chest. Hit different angles. And a quick thing there also, just for complete beginners here, when I say a set, that basically means when you start exercise, okay, and when you start to when you finish, okay, that's 1 set. So if I do 8 repetitions, 8 reps, that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That I've completed 1 set with 8 reps in it, just for clarity. So I do 2 sets for everything, where the first one is a strength set. I go for 5 to 6 reps, and that's heavy. That means that till failure, on that last rep, I can't anymore. And the point is that for each workout, when you come back, you try and go heavier. Whereas in the second set, that's my back off one, and I do it for hypertrophy. That's more the building the muscle. And that aimed for 12 reps. So, first one was 5 to 6 reps heavy, and then the second one is going to be 12 reps, or 10 to 12. And here's the second important thing. To keep your heart rate up and make it a fast workout, I have a maximum of 60-second rest between the first and the second one. So that does mean that I go a lot lighter in my second set, but that's fine. The point here is the first one is to go heavier and you feel that strain, so you get stronger. And the second set is kind of my back off, just pump the muscle, get blood in it, get a good pump. And that's what I do for everything. So I won't mention this ever again now for this episode, but for all the rest of the things that I mentioned today, just assume it's going to be 2 sets, 1 heavy and 1 of the lighter, more reps. And a really important thing to mention here is the following also. You need to write down somewhere what you've done in that workout. Now, I personally use an app called Jefit. And on Jefit, that's Jefit, you can put in there your whole routine, and then it tracks every single time you want to have a workout. You log in and you go onto it and you type in, it'll say, oh, incline dumbbell press, and you go, yeah, I did 20 kg for 2 reps, whatever it is. That's nothing. Anyway, you plug it in and it saves it there. So that next workout, you go back onto it, it will tell you what you did last workout. So you now know you need to, in theory, try and go heavier, or at least get an extra rep out compared to last session. You've got to get stronger. And also you can put in your rest times. So I put mine, let's say 1 minute, and then as I'm resting there, it goes 10, 9, 8, and I get ready and I go. It keeps you, say, truthful. So I recommend you download that or a similar app. There'll be many, but at least Jefit for me, it's free. Right, so hopefully now I can rattle off the rest of the exercises. So we had our first incline dumbbell press. Now secondly, slightly different to what you might think, but I now do some side laterals. That's for the side of your shoulders. Now, for anyone here who is perhaps not a beginner, you might be thinking, why are you doing your isolation exercise, okay, before doing any kind of compound lifts, okay? And for those of you who are beginners, what it means is a compound lift is an exercise, a lift, which includes many different body parts. So for example, let's say you're doing any kind of bench press. even though it's aimed mostly at your chest, you've also got some front shoulder delts included. You've got some triceps. It's many things. That's a compound movement. Same for, say, a lat pull down. That's using your biceps and your back. Whereas an isolation one, it just hits one body part. So we'll get to it later, but let's say a chest fly, that's pretty much all just your chest. Anyway, the point here is for shoulders, side laterals is isolation. And normally, when you're working out, you want to start off with your compound movements because they're the most tiring. You get them done at the beginning and then move on to your isolation. But this is where I don't do this. And that's because, if you remember, I mentioned that you must cater the workout to your own physique. And what I found was that my weakness, was my side delts, the width of my shoulder. And even if it wasn't a weakness, I wanted it to be bigger, okay? So what's really important is, if you want something to be improved on, well, your main energy and efforts will be at the start of your workout. So in the path, what I'll do is I'll simply follow a routine online for some bodybuilder, and they'll say, do your chest and do your big, pressing for shoulders. At the very end, do some side laterals. And when I got to that part of the exercise, I was far too knackered. So I was like at half-assed going, oh, I'm tired, that's it. So guess what? It wasn't improving. So that's why I personally put this one in there in my second. So I start off there, and again, I do 2 sets, one heavy, one lighter. And I use dumbbells, and either I sit down and I do it, okay? Or I can't do it here, but basically I go against a bench. So you put the bench upright and I put my chest against it, just so you can't really cheat. And I do my side laterals, 2 sets. And then I go off to just some more volume. I go to the cable machine, okay? And I get the little handles, and I put it kind of at, essentially you want a height wherever your hand finishes, okay? My hand ends here. You put the cable up to that point here, and you simply just side lateral up. And like I said, I'm going to be doing this video in a gym at some point for you all, because this is not ideal. But anyway, so I do that exercise again, each arm for the rep ranges. Then next, what I do is, I then do my front delt. And a similar thing, for this one, I do a front raise. And the first 2 sets will be with simply dumbbells or even a barbell, just going straight up. You can change your wrist position, not too bothered. I often do the actual underhand one, but you can also do that way. So do 2 with dumbbells, and then after that, I go back to the machine, okay, the cable machine, and I put it at the very bottom with the rope, because it's a little rope handle, which is normally used for your triceps. I put it at the bottom, and I stand with my back against the machine, and I hold on to the 2 little handles, and you bring it back up. So same motion, it's just that you've got a different angle of tension because you're putting against a cable going more that direction, as opposed to gravity could go always vertically down with dumbbells. So at that point, when I've done those things, I've got now a big shoulder pump, and now I go to the normal bench, okay, little chairs, whatever they're called, and I now do some conventional just dumbbell shoulder press. Okay, simply go up there and do again my 2 sets with the rep ranges. And just to repeat, that was just my order because of my own physique goals. For most people, I'd probably recommend you start off with the pressing and then go on to the isolation stuff. So you pick. So at this point, I've done the majority of my shoulder work for the day. Now, those of you who are astute may have noticed, what about the rear delts? That's the back of your shoulders. There's 3 heads, front, side, and the rear. The rear delts I do actually on back day, so I'll discuss those exercises in my next episode. But we've done most of those shoulders in this episode currently. So now I do more chest stuff. So at this point, and I go over to the barbell section, okay, and I put it on an incline barbell press. Now, you may be asking, didn't we just do, as our first one, an incline dumbbell press? And yes, and you're not wrong, these 2 things are very similar, with one variation. For the incline dumbbell press, I had the bench at roughly 30 degrees, okay? Whereas for this barbell one, I put it at about 45, okay, degrees. So you're more upright. And they take a slightly different grip, okay? Because normally for any of your benching stuff, you tend to go kind of pretty wide, for bench pressing or incline bench pressing. This one, I go not much further across than shoulder width, okay? And I bring the barbell not down to my kind of chest or nipples, normally like this. I bring it down almost to my neck, like here, and I press up. And this technique I actually watched from this YouTube video. I'll try and find the man's name. I think it's Peter something. But he mentioned that, he puts a lot more into upper chest. I tried it, and trust me on this one, I personally loved it. I felt it a lot on kind of the bit up here, which I used to always severely lack muscle here. And since doing this exercise, it's worked wonders for me. And I'm still not great there, but I'm much, much better than I used to be. And this has literally been learned from me in the last 6 months. Before that, for 14, 15 years, I worked out, so often, but couldn't make any gains there. And I have with this one exercise. Now, of course, because you've increased the angle of the bench, you're now also hitting a lot of your shoulders too, okay? So it's not strictly just chest, but I don't care. It's my chest and shoulder day, so win-win. All the heavy stuff for incline I did on my dumbbells, so I'm okay now going much lighter and using that weight. And again, it's hard to mention the exact weight to pick for this. Go a lot lighter. I would even go, let's say if you know what you can bench incline for just standardly to your kind of chest, to your nipple kind of area. If you know that weight, I would say take off at least 25%. At least that, because it's quite a bit trickier going to your neck. But give it a shot if you haven't already. It's a great one. So after I've completed this, I then go on to something different, which is, I believe, it's called a dumbbell pullover. That might be the wrong name, but you've got the video here somewhere. And this is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger's, I think, favorite exercise for chest. Now, what you want to do here is, you want to lie on the bench, hold the dumbbell and kind of put it over your head, stretch, and then back forward. Just one thing to mention here, it's an important one. If you're doing this exercise, if you have your elbows flared out, like as such, and you come forward, this will not really target your chest. This will target more your lats, okay? Kind of where your back is, okay? Your lats. To make it target the chest more, it's the following. You want to basically try and keep your elbows as in as possible. I always kind of push inwards pressure, inwards force. So when I'm going back up, I'm still pulling in, of course, but it's not up, it's lying down. Get the stretch, come back. And just in my experience, I've always got a really great pump from doing this. This was a bit more hit and miss. Some people don't like it. If it's not for you, don't include it. But I do personally. After this one, I got to do some dips now. Now, for dips, what I will say is, this is a more advanced movement. If you are new to working out, you might find this, just simply far too hard. There are some gyms which have machines which assist you and help you do it. If you've got that, then brilliant, give it a go. If you haven't got it and you can't yet do a dip, then you'll have to, for now, remove this from your list. However, in terms of practicing, if you can't, what you can do is for practice, you can start by doing some, let's call it like chair dips. There's no space here, but where you put your hands on a chair and you kind of go up and down, of course with your feet, push up a bit. You can try that, or even do some negatives. So if you got the handles here, just jump up, okay? And try and just go down slowly, and that's it, okay? And keep jumping up and do the reverse of the movement. But really, you have to the way to do dips is get strong in your chest and your tricep exercises, and then it will work out for you. So again, on this one, because we're going for the 5 reps, the 12 reps, if you are good at these, you need to add some weight. So me personally, I get a weight belt. So a belt to add weights to, and I do dips with a weight on me. And I obviously play with the weights around to find the exact weight I need to do my 5 reps, and then 12. And what dips targets in particular is the following. It's going to be more your lower chest, okay, and your shoulders and your triceps. So it's a win-win here. Many things have been hit. It's a brilliant exercise. So at this point, we've now hit your upper chest and your lower chest, and just by the way, your center chest has been hit in all of these things. So we're doing pretty well here. And just for technique for dips, again, a lot to mention here, but I'll try and condense it. Again, it's always in the elbows. If you're doing a dip, okay, and you flare out your elbows and you try and also lean forward a bit when you're pressing, that there will make it more in your chest. So on this chest day, which we're doing today, that's how I recommend you do your dips. You lean forward, elbows out. Whereas if you instead have your elbows tucked in and you push that way or tucked in with the body quite upright, that will hit more your triceps. So I do that in my arm day, which I mentioned in a different video. So in this one, lean forward, elbows out, and push. Right, so at this point, there's only 2 more to do. And the first one is, in my current gym, I found a very good actual chest press machine. They don't always exist. Normally you get some pretty bad ones. If that's the case for you in your gym, just don't use it, okay? Just leave it out. But in my gym, I do have this. And again, this one here is slightly different to my usual, 5 reps and 12 reps. I do a drop set. What that means is you pick a weight, it's going to be a machine, okay? You're going to do your exercise. Now, obviously, aim for here, let's say 6 reps again. And what you can't do more, you don't take a minute break, you take a 0-second break. No break. Finish it off, you can go much lighter, and then keep going. You might get, let's say, only 4 or 5 more. That's fine. You keep going until you can't anymore, lower the weight. And you keep doing that until literally there's nothing left. You're just pressing just air, literally. That's a drop set, and it's fantastic for breaking down the muscle and getting a good blood pump. So that's what I do. And in terms of your form for this, one really important tip. Lots of people who you see benching on machines, but also with potentially with barbells, they like cock their wrists, okay? When they're pushing, they're doing this. They're pushing like that. That is not ideal. If I'm pushing, I want to be strong. I want to have a straight line here. So what you must do therefore is adjust the seat in these machines. So often I see people in the gym just go onto the machine and just use the previously set position of the machine. Everyone is built with different sizes, different heights. If I'm, me, 6'3", sit in a seat, and then someone comes who's much shorter than me, well, they change the seat, don't they? So for this one here, you want to adjust it so that you perfectly can push at at that angle. So in my gym personally, I have to raise my seat loads, given where the handles are, and actually my head actually hits the actual machine. I have to literally do it, my head bent over like this, okay? But I still do it, and that's fine. So make sure you get the right angle of the wrist to properly push out. And of course, always try and squeeze each rep. For any exercise possible, except for potentially shoulder pressing, after each rep, have a slight kind of tense the muscle, tense. And always get a good stretch. Do not rush anything. In the gym, we want to have good reps. So say I'm doing any pressing motions today, you go right back, properly to the real back, almost kind of like a machine or dumbbell touching your chest, and then push. And then as a very final exercise, I go into a chest fly. Now, if there's a good chest fly machine in your gym, then by all means use it. In my one there isn't, so I use the cables. And you may often have seen people on videos or in gyms do they put the handles on the 2 machines right here. They lean forward, hoffling over, I'm trying to do this. I don't like that. Actually going heavier, you've got so much weight forward, you're kind of losing balance. Here's a little trick and tip to this. Just get one of the benches with the wheels, bring it over, that's fine. You don't get told off in your gym, I don't think. Sit down there, right angle, the back thing up, and then simply just grab the two handles and voila, you just go. At that point, there's no issue with balancing and you can properly go to failure. So that's what I do. And if I'm low on time with this one also, I will do a drop set. I won't do 2 sets, I'll do just 1 and just smash it out. But here's the one tip for the cable fly. Again, another very important one I've learned over the many years. Most people do the following. They have a slight bend in the elbow, which is good, that's fine by the way. They come back, but here's the issue. Either they simply go too heavy and just don't and stop there, that's awful. You want a whole range of motion. But when they push to the end, they do that, okay? And that might, by the way, for most people look completely correct. You might be thinking, this is brilliant form. Here's the problem. If you right now watch the video, do this, and I ask you how much, let's say, contraction can you feel on your inner chest? I'm hoping you're going to say, not much, okay? Now try this. Same position here, you know, your hands, your kind of fingers facing yourself, but as you get closer, I'm actually twisting my hands inwards, like my pinky is kind of touching each other, and I'm trying to force my 2 elbows to touch, okay? So, touch, touch. At that point there, try to touch your elbows together. Hopefully you're seeing there's complete massive tension there. That's what you want. And that's the technique for this. You're going to go together. Together, I'm getting hot here. That's the technique. So try that. And of course, if you have time, you can do a flat one, okay? What I often do is, I'll show you in a different video, but I grab I put the cables higher, and I kind of go from up to down, just a different angle, and likewise I can go from low to high. That's kind of heading more upper, then lower, etc. But if you're low on time, just pick one. So that is the entirety of my chest and shoulder workout. Now, you may be thinking, wow, that sounds very, very long. Many things to do. And you're not wrong, but just remember 2 things. Firstly, we are just doing 2 sets per exercise, and also it's only a 1-minute rest in between. So if you stick with it and go fast, it won't take as long as you think. But secondly, more importantly, this. Don't feel obliged to do every single thing every single time. I've had many workouts where I've got this planned on my phone in my Jefit, and guess what? I'm having a bad day, so I'm feeling tired, and by the last kind of few exercises, I'm just spent, I'm just knackered. So guess what? I leave it out. I've so many times left out the cable flies and left out the machine press because I'm just knackered. Or maybe I've been talking to someone in the gym, how you doing? Having a chat, and now I'm low on time. That's fine. You know, not every workout can be amazing and the best of all time. All I'll say is, if you notice that every single workout, 10 in a row, you keep missing out the last 2 routines, exercises, then either realize that it's too long and make it shorter the workout, or what I might do myself is, then you're right, in my next chest day, I'll just do at the very, very start, the chest flies, just so that I can make sure that that's different, you know, angled movements I can still get in, rather than having weeks on end of no chest flies. But that's it. Feel free to adjust and leave out things where necessary. So, I hope you enjoyed this video and you have a better idea of now this chest and shoulder workouts and just my general ideas for working out. I'll be uploading soon in due course the videos for my other 4 days, which were, remember, back, traps and forearms, an arm day, biceps and triceps, legs, and then a little squat and abs. And of course, in case you enjoy this video, I will also, at some point in a gym, actually show you with machines this exact workout. So, if you enjoyed this, give it a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and leave in the comments what you enjoyed and what you've learned today. It's Nate, it's been great, onwards and upwards.